It is it is Monday. It's January 20th. It's been a big day. It's Martin Luther King Day, inauguration for our country. So lots of stuff happening. And we're coming off the heels of Ignite Impact. So I am Dee Corchin. Good to see some faces here I haven't seen in a bit. Yay. Glad you're with us. And tonight we've got a special guest, and we're going to be introducing him in a few minutes. So happy that Dr. Mike Mills has agreed to be with us. Meg is here with us. But as we do with every call, just really kind of like to hear from our team, maybe something good that's happening, a shift that's happened within them. Tonight we'll even hear a takeaway from this past weekend. We had a great event with Ignite Impact. I know a lot of you guys watched from around the country, and those of you guys that were in Atlanta came to our watch party. So this is what Optavia is doing for us, right? They're bringing convention to us. And so we had a great opportunity to experience that in January. So Laura Flores reached out today. Laura came all the way from Charlotte to Atlanta, spent the weekend for the watch party, but really had something cool happen. So Laura, love to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Dee. Hey, everyone. So I just wanted to share a little moment that I had yesterday after I got home. I was on Facebook and I came across this reel that someone had created and posted who had some extra skin from weight loss. And I guess they did some kind of weight loss coaching or something. So I was looking at the comments and I came across this comment from this woman that said like, oh, congratulations. I would love to know what you're doing. Like, I am feeling stuck. I don't really know why because I don't like what I see in the mirror, but like, look forward to hearing from you. And this was posted, the comment was 3 weeks ago, and like, there was no reply. So I saw that and I was just like, man, like, she is really looking for some help. And then I was like, what if I could be the one to help her? And I was like, oh, well, I could just like save this reel and come back to it later and like say something and, do it later, come up with something really great to say. And there was just kind of like something that told me, like, no, like, if you're going to do this, do it now. Like, you're not going to go back to the reel. It's going to get lost in the vortex. You're not going to find her again. Just if you're going to do it now. So I drafted this message. It was a little bit long, but I was just like, hey, I don't think I know you, but I came across this comment that you made and I copy pasted it. And I told her a little bit about my story and, that I'm a health coach. And I told her I have a bunch of stuff on my page. Like, go take a look. If any of this resonates with you, I would be happy to talk about, how I can help. So I sent that last night and I was just kind of like, okay, if she never even looks at it, that's fine. But like, I did my part. And so she got back to me today and we've been messaging back and forth. And she was so like excited and happy and grateful that I reached out to her. And I have a health assessment set up with her for tomorrow morning. So it was just really cool to kind of see what happened when I followed that leading and that intuition. And it was what like a do it anyway moment. And I don't know if anyone's going to talk about that takeaway, but that was my little do it anyway moment. And it was just cool to see what happened when I listened to that prompting. And that's all I got.
Well, that's huge. That's huge. Yeah, blow up the comments. If you can relate to that, that do it anyway was such a big message. And it's so interesting. I've always been one to listen to intuition, but it was at an event last Thursday night that a few other of us on the call were as well. It was not related to Optavia, but it was about writing the second chapter of your life. But what she talked about was the SSV, and she kept saying the SSV, the SSV. And I'm like, I wrote it down, like, look up SSV. And then finally at the end, she said that small, still voice. And so that voice in your heart. And I mean, I think just knowing that we are problem solvers and I could hear your heart. You weren't looking to do anything, but hey, this could possibly help her. And knowing your story of losing over 100 pounds,
Yeah.
yeah, you were perfectly qualified.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. And we had several of us at the watch party this weekend. And Stephanie, I know that you were moved from the weekend. Would love to hear from you.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I do love that we had a watch party that was so fun to be able to all be there in community. And it was also fun to see everybody up on the big screens. Like I saw like Frank Davis and some other of us on those big screens. So it really felt like we were in community, even if we weren't in the same room. And if you didn't catch it in the community, I would suggest your own watch party on the replay, and I'll come over and watch it again with y'all and be that community. But no, I think that there were so many great takeaways, and I loved how they set the stage of having the hamster wheel, the visual of the hamster wheel, and how our program is designed for real life, and that we can all get stuck in that hamster wheel. And I think for me, it was like, wait a minute, I'm in that hamster wheel also because of just cycle of daily life, of just things that are happening to us that just that we just get stuck, and we get stuck whether we know how to like build up our business again or what to post, or and we can get stuck in that our own hamster wheel and just get overwhelmed and kind of shut down and freeze. At least I can do that. So it made me realize, in order to get out of this own hamster wheel, to help others that are stuck in that hamster wheel as well, to find freedom, because what we have to offer is like no other. And there is it is designed for real life, and so is our coaching community too, which was just so important. Just the real life of community, the real life of reaching out and showing up for each other. um, and knowing that we're not alone if we're rebuilding our business and rebuilding our health. And we always tell our clients that, just do the next right thing, and there is no chance of you're just going to throw everything out the window. So that's what I loved. And I also loved, again, with the visual, I'm a very visual person. I loved how we all held up our hands in an O for Optivist, and knowing what Optivist is. And so for me, now that reminds me, get out of that hamster wheel and help others, and just feel that ignite impact that this training had, and what our community has and what our program has to offer.
Wow, that is so beautiful. That's so great. Meg, would love to hear from you before I introduce Mike.
Yeah, well, I loved this. I've been to a lot of Optavia events over the last 8 years, and what I really appreciated about this particular event was it felt like we got back to the heart of what we do and why we do it. Sometimes we can get wrapped up in like the IPD and who's on stage and all the things, right? And this, like, the speakers were people that had a great story, that had a message on their heart, and they had something to share. And it's so much more, it felt so much more in alignment to who we are and what we do and how we love people where they are. So I felt just seen by the company, and Mike was there, and it was great. And just all the speakers, I mean, it was just such a great weekend. So if you haven't watched it, highly recommend scheduling a time to going back and listening, because it was powerful.
I couldn't agree more. The replays are available, you guys, if you were registered for it. I'm told that if you go back to that email that you got from Wari Studios with your link on Saturday, that you can access the recordings there. But I couldn't agree more, Meg, about the mission, and maybe it was just in a place I was ready to hear it. But when they told the stories about the ripple effect, and every single one of us is here because of the ripple effect of somebody else who made the decision to share this gift of the program, coaching, whatever it might have been. And I loved when they said, if you stop, the ripple effect stops with you. And there's a world of hurting people, and we solve problems. And I think if we can think about that as we have such an incredible solution, and we're really offering that life change to somebody, and potentially that generational change. So this is perfect timing to tee up. I feel like a lot of us are in a space. There are people here that haven't been on in a while, and you are always welcome. That just like the program, that it's simple. Being a coach is not that difficult. I mean, it's simple what we do, but it's not always easy. You know, we have to face our own emotions through this process. We have to face potential discouragement. We face obstacles. We face fatigue. There's all sorts of things that can happen that can trip us up, that we can lose that vision. So I met Dr. Mike and Amy on a plane one time. It was a row of three. And I think Amy said something to me like, well, were you traveling on business or pleasure? And I never know how to answer that question because I was like, both. But they were new to Optavia, and the excitement, like they were beaming, and that energy, I've never seen it fade. And Mike, you can share how long you've been coaching and all of that. But as Dr. A, when he introduced them, they are presidential directors, but their business has just continued to grow. And I'm on a committee with them, and Mike has just always got, I feel like, a really level-headed business sense as well. And when we were having dinner together in Sundance, he mentioned that he had spoken to his team about After the After, and a little bit snippet into what that was about. And it has just stuck with me. And again, I listened to that intuition. I just felt like a week or so ago that we need to have Mike on. So Mike, thank you for saying yes and juggling your schedule to be here with us.
My pleasure. It's always exciting to get to connect with more people, and there are a few faces here that I know. Probably Dee and Meg, I know the best, but thank you for this opportunity. It's always a blessing to share with other people. I've been a coach. My wife and I do this together for about 6 years, and so by trade, I'm a chiropractor. So I've been in the health and wellness arena, this world, for a very long time. It really is my passion and my heart. But I was introduced to the program very much like I think a lot of people were. I saw somebody, right? So one day I happened to be in my office, and obviously to me, I truly believe it was like divine, because most of the time I would never see this sales rep from a nutrition company walk into my office. I mean, I live near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's from New Jersey. Like quarterly, he would come through my office. And I just happened to see him out front one day, and he was like noticeably physically healthier looking, right? And it's fascinating because my wife and I would probably be people that would be not on most people's lists, right? I mean, I'm teaching classes on juicing and making kombucha and, like all these things, but I wasn't happy with where I was. And I knew how hard my wife was working. She had a personal trainer. She would work out with a personal trainer a couple of days a week. She was running like crazy, 20 to 25 miles a week. We homeschooled our 3 kids at that time. There was a lot going on, and she wasn't where she wanted to be either. And really what it was is that our structure broke down. Our kids were 9, 11, and 13. I remember at one point we had 7 sports teams going on at once. I was like, how are we doing this? Like, or why are we even doing this now? I look back, but so we were struggling. Our structure wasn't holding up, and I needed something to make this simpler for me. And I knew that Bob and I, held true to a lot of the same principles of what we believed about healthy nutrition and anti-inflammatory diets and things like that. So I trusted him. I believed in him, and I think there's, a lot of value in just that. People trust you. I had a referral this week. A client that's doing amazing, and he actually signed up as a coach. He referred his fiance, and I was like, well, maybe you should coach her, what do you think? And so we talked about it, and then he was like, yeah. So then he referred me this other guy, and he kind of set us up on a 3-way text. I set up a time with him. I sent him the jot form, and the guy got a little uncomfortable with the jot form. It doesn't happen very often, at least to me, but he was a little uneasy with some of the questions or whatever. But why? Because he doesn't know me. So even though Eric was connecting us up, there was a trust factor that wasn't established there yet. So we're working through that. But I trusted Bob. So my wife and I went on program, and like all of you, we went into fat burn. We had an amazing experience. My wife lost 8 pounds in a week and went into fat burn, and I I really kind of like got a new wife, and she's been here for 6 years now. And all of the things that I knew about functional medicine and all the stuff that I did, nothing ever got the results for her that this got. And honestly, for myself either. And so, that's how we were introduced to the program. We fell in love with it. We really started coaching just through family and friends. I didn't like go like make some big splash in my practice or anything like that. We were excited. The language that I tell people about all the time is that the word I remember using all the time was like, I would just call somebody and say, I found something. Like, because that's how I felt. Like, I found something. You know what I mean? Like, here I am studying all these things. I mean, I did a series of classes back then that they'll resonate with you, but they were called Eat Well, Move Well, Think Well. That was the name of them. So I kind of had this concept, but I didn't have the structure. I was trying to reinvent the wheel. I didn't have the fuelings. I needed those. Those were my biggest hang up. I used to stand in front of people. I used to do a lot of classes and say, if you have to rip it out of a package, it's not food. Well, um, you know, obviously I've shifted on that. I decided that I didn't need to be right. I wanted to help people, and I wanted to get healthy more than I needed to be right. And that was really the shift that happened in me. But it was really that basic. I found a solution. Hey, I know we've talked about health before, or hey, I know you've asked me questions about this before. Well, I found something that I really think is going to help you. I didn't get super complicated about it. But one of the concepts that what I brought up to Dee and what led us to here is that I was thinking about this concept of after the after. So just kind of walk this journey with me for a second. But with our clients, oftentimes that's the challenging spot, right? The program works amazing, regardless of which one you use. They work, they're going to get results. It's that transition and after the after that a lot of people have challenges with. Even people that are super excited, right? They lose that, like, even the first 50 pounds really fast. And then all of a sudden, there's like this challenge, right? I have a guy there right now. He's down 100 pounds. He's got 35 to go. And he's just like, you know, got a lot of voices in his head right now. And so it's that transitioning phase, it's that finishing, and then it's moving into after the after, creating a lifestyle that's sustainable long term. And I love that we've really put a big focus on that. And one thing I would say to that, if I can coach for a second, is make sure that you're in the after, right? Take yourself through that process, because you learn a lot in that. I know that we can, 5 and 1 till we get where we want, and then do whatever, and then 5 and 1 to get back there, and then do whatever, and then 5 and 1 to get back there. And then that's not what Dr. A is talking about. And I probably should mention that too. So sometimes people will say to me, who's your coach? Right? And I say, well, Dr. A. There's one coach between Dr. A and my wife and I. That's Bob, who sponsored me. And I don't know, he might be a senior coach, I'm not sure, but he's a great guy. He's on all of our Zooms, and we love him, and we're forever grateful for him introducing this program to us. But so that's a little different thing. If you're, wondering, well, how does that work? It works, but it works in a different way, So it's kind of fun. But just imagine if you hit ED and I schedule a celebration call with Dr. A, that would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? But be thankful you have D. She's not writing primers, she's not making documentaries, she's not trying to lead this whole vision at the same time. So you're in great hands. So this after the after concept was on my mind. We were talking about this, we were branding ourselves in that direction, and I was really, that is the challenge for people. It really is, like, transitioning from a dieting mindset to I'm a healthy person and I have healthy habits and I live this way, right? There's no on and off switch to me. I'm living the habits of health. And that doesn't mean perfection. It just means, you're living out all of those principles, right? Which include healthy sleep and healthy motion and all of these things. And then I started thinking about the business and I thought, what is the after in our business? That was the concept that I think resonated with some people because I think it happens the same way. And I don't know how long everybody's been coaching. Maybe that'd be fun if you could just like put a number in there for how many years you've been coaching, or if it's months, you could just put like an M beside it or something. You'll give me an idea of like who's here. So maybe some of you have been here. Good. So been coaching for a little bit. So this will work. This will connect. Some of you may have like went senior coach pretty fast, right? Some of you might have even been like went ED really fast, right? Sometimes that happens, right? Somebody just comes into this, they have a great circle. Some of you, it might have, none of it might have come easy to you. That's fine. It doesn't really matter. But there's an initial phase, right? There's the initial excitement phase, just like when we start the program and we're losing weight quickly, or we're feeling good, or we're going into fat burn, or we're signing up our first couple clients, and we're really enthused about this whole process, right? Maybe you hit some goals, maybe you start adding some coaches, but there becomes this point where we have to move into transition and after for our business. And I think that can be a place where I've seen people run into some trouble, right? And it's almost a little bit identifiable in people. We have that initial circle of influence, that initial group of people that we're reaching out to, we're talking to, we're connecting with, we're having a lot of fun. And then all of a sudden it feels like, where do we go from here? Some of you have been coaching for 10 years or 14 years or 4 years, 6 years, 2 years, right? 8 years. I mean, you're like 8 years. How do I feel like I've talked to everybody that I know, right? So what is the after? And just like after in your health, I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but, you know, living a healthy lifestyle is just not really that sexy. Okay. Like, my wife and I did a physique competition a couple years ago, and it was just literally like a spur of the moment thing. Somebody asked, it was actually Doug Wood, and we were like, sure, we'll do it. We didn't have any idea what we're doing. Naivety can be like a blessing sometimes, but um, you look really amazing, right? You look really amazing, but let me tell you what life's like. Tupperware with broccoli, chicken, and a little bit of rice. That's what it looks like. That's like sitting outside a soccer game with some cold chicken and broccoli, waiting to go in to watch my daughter, hanging outside a hockey rink, doing the same thing. It was a lot of riding around. Everything was figured out. It was planned out. It was very structured. But it wasn't real fancy, right? It wasn't real pretty. It was kind of monotonous and just repetitive. I mean, literally, I was eating. Actually, it was asparagus. It wasn't. Yeah, because there's a diuretic effect to asparagus, so it was like getting more water out of me. So, it was just over and over and over again. But it really works, right? Like you get these incredible, amazing results with your body. And the business is a little bit the same way. There hits a point in after. It doesn't mean it's not fun, right? It doesn't mean it's I'm not having a great time, but it's the same thing every day of waking up and doing sort of these seemingly routine, right? They're not routine to the person you're talking to. They're very, very impactful to that person. But they're the repetitive things that are required to just slowly keep moving forward and getting where you want to go. And that's kind of what after looks like, right? It's this lifestyle of you know what you need to eat. You eat these things very regularly. Well, it's the same thing with your business. So what is the after for your business? And I know every organization has their own sort of daily structure. And I don't know, honestly, I really don't know exactly what yours is. And I don't really think one is better than the other. People ask me all the time. I love to lift weights. I keep myself in pretty decent shape. And people are always asking me about workouts, what's the best workout to do? And you want to know my answer is always the same, 100% of the time. I tell everybody the same thing. The one you'll do. That's the best workout. I don't, how many days should I do legs? How many times? It doesn't matter to me. The best workout in the world is the one you'll show up and do. So whatever structure you can just show up and do day after day after day after day, it's like compound interest. It's like saving money, you know? Um, you don't have to go for the home run. You just got to be consistent with it. And so, uh, again, everybody can use something different. There's this old-fashioned thing, some of you have been around for a while, called 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Um, you know, it's kind of what I use, I'll be honest with you. It doesn't matter to me. I don't know. It doesn't, I don't care. It doesn't, I'm just using some language to be able to communicate, but it just makes sense to me, right? I can just keep, and I can keep doing it repeatedly, right? I can be like 2 posts, 4 pictures in my stories, 6 new friends, 8 comments and likes on people that are on my list, and 10 conversations. I can just remember that. And throughout the course of my day, I'm like, did I do 2 posts? Did I do 4 pictures in my story? Did I, and then as I have more time, I throw in birthdays, like, hey, did I do all my birthdays today? But it's the repetition of consistently doing, this is the after. It's just the lifestyle, right? There's a lifestyle of you staying at your ideal weight and being fit and healthy and energized. There's a lifestyle to building this coaching business and doing it, right? It is kind of repetitious, right? But consistency beats intensity every single time. And I tell people, start with the 1-1-1-1. I mean, really, it's the same philosophy that I have with working out. Like, what's the best one? The one you'll do. So if right now you're posting every 3 days, I would say, wonder if we could do 1 a day, right? If right now you're adding 1 friend every 4 days, what if we just tried to add 1 a day and just build on that? Dr. A talks about this all throughout the Habits of Health. Make it so small that you can't do it. I just did a client call with a lady and she's doing well, right? I mean, she like had a breakthrough this week. She went into the 120s. She's like super happy, but she's not in her life book. So this is our goal for this week. She's going to open the life book and shut it each day this week. She's not going to read anything. I said, I don't want you to read a single word in that book. I just want you to wake up, right? I want you to get down, make your coffee. I want you to open the book, shut it, and sit it aside. And we're going to do that all week. That'll probably end up being hard for her, right? But I want to make it so small that she can't not do it. If that's proper English, I don't know. So what are some things? So my point is the after looks like, how do I create this repetitive thing? Because that's what your nutrition is going to look like. If you're going to win at this long term, it's just going to look pretty repetition. This is what I do. Whatever it is for you, if it's 1,800 calories or 26, I don't know. It's just going to look about like that every single day. And so that was my concept with after. Hopefully that connects with someone and it makes sense. But it's like a workout. What the best one? What will you do? And James Clear talks about this so well in his book that you say, well, Mike, how could really reaching out to one person? How can adding 1 friend really? It's the compound effect, right? It's just little over time. And it seems so small that it's insignificant. It's not, because what will happen is it'll grow and you'll build and you'll be able to do more. And next thing you know, you're having more conversations with more people, So hopefully that delivers. I know I used up a lot of the time. We have 2 minutes left before the call.
That was fabulous. Fabulous, Dr. Mike. Even the simple reminders of the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, like you said, everybody does it a little bit different, but you never know that that might resonate. And I love when you said, if needed, do 1, 1, 1, 1, 1.
Yeah.
As we are wrapping up, I just want to give the opportunity. Does anybody have any feedback for Dr. Mike, or a question, anything that we can soak up his wisdom on? See a great tips. The comments were blowing up. Mike, I don't know if you saw it.
No, that's great. I'm glad it connected. And look, typically I'm probably not going to show up here and say anything that you haven't heard from somebody else, but sometimes I just say it in a little. It's like when you take your clients to the celebration call and your mentor says the same thing you said, but the client goes, "Oh, there it is."
There it is.
Yeah.
And just that simple reminder, that it's not always going to be pretty. It's not always going to be sexy. It's not always going to feel good. But it's what works every single time. So that was powerful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, team. I'm glad that you guys were here. I'm loving that we've had this experience together, and we are going to do the watch party for the community call, because it's all about the app. And I
Yeah.
don't know if you've stayed up to date with the app and all the changes that have been made and that they continue to make, but they're going to walk through it tonight. So watch it for you, but also watch it for to be able to send our clients there and making sure that they are using it as well. So Meg, I'll let you do a little small talk while I stop the recording and
All
get
right.
us over there. Thanks again, Dr. Mike.
See ya. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Bye.
All right. So as